Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for the content kings themselves, Ryan and Byron.
Sending them up. You've got a bird's eye view across thousands and thousands and thousands of salespeople. What's a blind spot? We can talk about all the good things people should be doing, but what's something that you think most agents are missing in their business?
Scorecarding your business and actually looking at it, understanding where your business really comes from, digging into those numbers. Everybody, the thing you've heard a million times is track your numbers. The blind spot in most agents' business is they don't even know where to begin to track the numbers. Getting serious. I like 90-day plans, but that might be just a week. Maybe just start with a week. Maybe it's longer for you, whatever the case may be. Having a real scorecard that you're looking at all of the time, understanding exactly where your leads are coming from, so you can plow your investment into the areas that make the most sense and let go of what's not making the most sense. And then the secondary blind spot to that is being emotional about where your business is coming from. Do you really care where your business is coming from if you can make a margin on it? If you can even make the smallest margin and it brings you future business. All the time when we start talking about where you're getting your business from, well, I only get my business from here. I already know that agent has already flatlined or is on the decline. Because if you only are willing to get your business from one certain lead source, what I mentioned before is everybody's going to be marketing to it and offering better offers than you are. The emotions around, I don't want to spend 40% to Z, or I don't want to partner with a lender and invest in Realtor.com. I'm going to go all in on content. I think it's the better idea. You're building something that is saleable. You're building a brand that you own. It's a better idea. But when you do the math on what it costs you to acquire customers through actually producing content that works, you're going to land in kind of the same spot. Oh, I'm spending about 30%, investing 30% to get that lead. And then it's going to be non-emotional. Oh, how do I lower that number over here while maybe paying it over there? But you can't do that without a great scorecard. If we're going to play a game, we're going to go golf, but if we're going to golf, we're going to be keeping score. Because I need to know when to press, all right? When are we going to press? Is it hole 7, hole 8? Everything that you're doing needs to be tracked, needs to be measured, and be on a scorecard, and then the emotions come out of the business.
You're right, I don't golf.
No, I knew you didn't.
We spend so much time working on our business, on top of it, thinking about it. What are we going to do? I think you're right. We have to spend more time working in the business and understanding where we're coming from. Somebody else that asked a question last night said, I'm 17 years in the business. I'm kind of at this level. I keep hitting this level. I need to break through this, right? There's a lot of ways you can do it. You can say no. Now you can move up this way. Another way is to really look at, okay, well, what have you done over the past 17 years? Where are all your clients coming from? But one thing we work with all the time is focusing in the business. It's great. We can talk about all your drama, your problems, and your issues right now, but let's take a step back. What's your Serhant star? How are we getting there? How are we tracking to those goals? What are the priorities? Where's your customers coming from? Where do you want to get to in the future? I agree with you 1,000%. Now, if you're new in this audience, how many people in this audience right now have been in real estate for less than 2 years?
Not me, but I'm just trying to say.
Less than 3 years? 4 people. Okay, who here feels like they hit a ceiling and they wish they could do more? Okay, more people. Great. So, for those people, whether you're new or you feel like you've hit a ceiling and you're stuck at that 10 million number, 20 million number, whatever your number is, if you were starting over today, it's 2025, because that's when you have all the energy, right? That first year in the business, it's hard, but everything's new. Is there anything you would do differently than when you first started? Like, what would you do today to kickstart your career?
If I was starting over with nothing, which is what I had when I started this business, there's one change I would have made, which is pick the right market. Most of us end up in the market we grew up in, or we are currently living in. And
someone about that this morning too, right at breakfast. She's here.
yeah, so it just happens. Like I live here, and a lot of things are going to be different for everybody. You got a family dynamic, you have to be there, all of that kind of stuff aside. But if you have the ability to really have nothing and start over, there are some markets you would never choose if you want high upside in your business. You want to build something that can really have exponential growth. And then there are markets that have high upside. I'd pick one of those. And if I was truly starting off, I'd get around somebody in that market on a team or a top agent that has a ton of deals, and I'd make a really bad ton of leads, really bad deal for myself. That means low split. Everybody gets emotional about that. And I'd work my ass off getting their leads to convert so I have instant now ready business. I would not try to pretend like I can do this business all by myself. And if you've got the runway starting out, which nobody usually does, to invest in your own staffing, good, do that and go and get leads and generate. But if you don't, then get around somebody who's already doing it.
That's the smartest answer you just gave to that question, because what you basically just said is the acronym MIT, Market, Idea, Team. Now you start a company, talk to anybody who's a founder or a CEO of any company, the number one thing they think about first is how big is my market? Because I have to do a lot of work. If it's a tiny business or it's the biggest business of all time, why do all that work if the market isn't big enough? If you're gonna go fish for 10 hours a day, you wanna fish where all the fish are or fish where none of the fish are? I mean, if you're crazy, you can go where none of the fish are.
I don't fish.
Where all the fish are.
I golf.
Yeah.
I don't fish.
I don't do either. But it's the same thing, and I think a lot of agents make that mistake of they don't think about what they're starting as a company. You think about, I got my license, now I'm an agent, and I'm gonna see if this works. Imagine starting a company that way. You'd have to go take a test for 80 hours or whatever, and now you're gonna get your license to start a business and see if it works on the side and make all that time and investment. You have to start thinking about yourself as an enterprise, as a business, and see how big is my market. Right? If that market is the size, wow, I can take a big piece of that, that's great. Then what's your idea that separates you from all the other businesses in the room? And then what's that team that we just said that you can either assemble around you or be a part of? So for me, it was, I'm in Manhattan. Could I go home at that point to Steamboat Springs, Colorado, where my parents were, and be an agent too? Sure. They have a great life there. How big is the Steamboat Springs, Colorado market compared to Manhattan? Very, very different sizes. So if I'm gonna do it, do all those emails, and all the running around and everything, I might as well be where my market has the biggest opportunity. Then what was my idea to separate myself? And then what was my team? That's where I made the biggest mistake. I did not have a team.
You said most people get their license and say, I'm an agent, and that's fine. That's admirable. But there's a big difference between saying, I'm an agent and I own this business. Those are two different things. There's nothing wrong with being an agent and being a character inside of a great business. Like everybody remembers Elaine, Kramer, and George, even though Jerry's the lead. You don't have to be the lead. If you're comfortable saying, I'm an agent, I'm gonna be great, I can be super memorable, and I can make a ton of money and have a great impact on my family, community, all of that. But if you're thinking about it in the other direction, I'm a business owner, that's where everything is going to be a lot different, a lot more pressure. You can't have both. I'm an agent and I want to have all of the upside or whatever. And if you're the business owner, you can't say, I want all of the freedom and the work-life balance and all of that other stuff. They don't match up.